Good morning, folks. Welcome to our broadcast. Welcome to each and every one of you. Good to have you here, Wayne and David and Troy and Mandy and Annette. Bridge Mohan, let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. Good to have you on with us this Thursday morning. It's Thursday, the 17th day of April. Believe it or not, that's where we are. Paul DeAndre, Anthony, Mandy, Junior. Good to have all of you. You know, my home name is Junior, believe it or not. Back in the days, that was my call name. Don't ask me how to land Junior, because I don't carry my father's name, but that was my home name. Mandy Cummins, you know, we got home name and out name in this country. What I don't like is false names. Never like false names. Cheryl and Pac and Lester, good to have you on this morning. Wherever you're joining us from today, thanks for letting us know you're hearing us loud and clear. Bridge Mohan and the other folks. Ingrid Peters, Valerie says, celebrating a birthday today. So happy birthday, Ingrid. Y'all make sure y'all getting a happy birthday there. Mandy says, I look like a junior. I want to know what that look is like. What that look is like. Let us getting a happy birthday there for Ingrid Peters. You know, these birthdays as you get older come fast and furious. I don't like it. You know, comes fast and furious. When we were young, when we were teens, you know, pre-teens, a year took a long time. No, years like that. That's what running. I remember the 2020 election, regional and general and regional, like yesterday. It was almost 5 years ago. So many birthdays we've passed since then. You know, I don't like it. Slow down. Where we rushing? Yeah. You know, when you're young, you want to get big. When you're big, you want to get young. No. Man is by nature discontented. Yeah, true. True story that. Claire and Sabrina and all the other folks who are joining us. Happy to have all of you all on with us this morning. Trying to catch my breath at this end. Grateful to have all of you watching us. Wherever you're joining us from today, good to have Gloria Chess on the live, Troy Quincy, Mandy Cummins, Savage Tish. Good to have all of you on with us. Yesterday afternoon, my Lord, the traffic in this city. Whether it was yesterday afternoon or this morning, the traffic. But I got an appointment to see my doctor. You know, and I remember I was reminded why I love him. I was reminded, and his staff there. I was reminded, you know, it's me, my wife, the dentist, and the masseuse in this relationship. You know, we got an entanglement. You know, the man did some. This no longer science. This is Lynn Finance, Alexis. This is no longer science. This is now bordering on wizardry. You know, bordering on wizardry. I hear the man say, pass the pliers, pass the steel rod. You know, tie it off here, tie off here. I've never heard these terms in dentistry my whole life. Tie off here. Now, I've been trying to, you know, when you like the public like I do. When you like talk, you know, you gotta make sure you put yourself out, you're looking thin. So I got in to see my dentist yesterday, and I was reminded, you know, pass the wheelbarrow, pass the shovel, pass the pickaxe. You know, yeah, yeah. When you're young, you don't think about these things. You eat anything, you throw your body anyway. Now, Crystal Simon, we gotta be so mindful. Sharon McPherson, Brennan Thompson, as you get older, you gotta be so mindful, right? Last year, this time, yeah, it was about this time last year. I was seeing my dentist at that point again. Some things don't change. And I remember them saying to me, stay off of chewing bone. I don't listen. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Travis. Stay off of bone. No. you know Odessa. You don't need a chicken until you crush the bone. Right? You won't have the beef until you push your tongue in that bone and you know. Pressure that bone till that bone is almost dust. So I've been struggling with that and paying the consequences for it. Paying the consequences for it. I'm at an age and stage. Can I be honest with y'all? I had an age and stage. I know we like to pretend we have it all together. You know, we got it like that. But for some of us, we got to fake it till we make it. You know, sometimes, you know, I'm chewing and I can't remember what is plastic, what's AI, you know, what's artificial intelligence, what's collation. I can't remember. You know, it's so much. Marlon Thomas, Brennan, and all the other folks. Brian Daniels, Mandy say ears hard. Well, y'all know the whole thing top to bottom. Crystal Simon said, no eating bones. Marlon said, yeah, ears hard. You don't listen. Y'all know the whole thing, top to bottom. Hard ears picnic. You know the whole thing, top to bottom. But I don't like it. This getting old, you know. It has its benefits, I tell you that. Speak your mind on a lot of issues. We ain't carry nothing to the grave of our chest. Everything coming out now. Good to have you wonderful folks on the live with us this morning. Wherever you're joining us from. If you're like Odessa Primus, you're joining us from Mar-a-Lago, some place like that. Perhaps it's White House this morning. I don't know. You know, I like having a few friends, you know, in high places. It's not plenty. It's not enough. There's a few of them, you know. Mar-a-Lago, the thing and so on. I have to put in a word. Things getting a little dicey here. Putting a word. You see? But that's how it is sometimes, you know. That's how it is sometimes. You know. Your friends, that's always not your real friends. Can't go tell to Mar-a-Lago you don't put in a word for your boy. Mind you, this is how to tell people like Odessa Primus big. You know, it's just like here. Some people go ship the Rhine Chandra Paul Drive, and some people go in the living room. Some people go ship the Rhine Chandra Paul Drive, or they go invest, and some people go in the living room. Some people go to the White House, and then the cream of the crop go to the inner sanctum at Mar-a-Lago. Right? That's just how it goes down. So as I said, age has its privileges. Age has its privileges, undoubtedly so. And so, not all of it I despise. You know, not all of it I despise. Good having you guys on with me this morning. Good having you on with me. I like the part of the age of when you call some of your friends there answer the phone. Oh, that's you?
No, it's not actually.
Please turn me down on your phone.
In the morning, you gotta tell me you're calling me, like fix my voice and these sorts of things.
Folks,
good morning.
Influencer political commentator, you a businesswoman. Odessa Prime is on the line.
Well,
Odessa, you have fixed this phone, you know. It started. That's the S25? Or that's the iPhone 16?
oh my God.
Folks, y'all say hello to
What?
Odessa for me.
Look at that.
Y'all say hello
Look
to
at that.
Odessa.
Yeah.
Odessa, how are you doing now?
I am doing fantastic. I'm not the government, so things are going well for me.
I ain't keeping you on long. How things shaping up politically locally? I know how I see it, but for you, what's all this static, man? What's all this static here now?
Maybe it's me. I outside in the yard, you know, and they raid.
Oh.
So maybe it's me.
You in the gallery or in the West Wing?
You should take up comedy, Sharon.
You in the Rose Garden or you in the yeah? Which part you joining me from? Right?
The vineyard.
How things shaping up though? Give me a quick sense.
How things are shaping up in what regard?
Politically, locally, from your vantage point.
From my vantage point, things are shaping up exceedingly well because the thing is, the rate the government is operating, you don't really need to do a lot of work to get them out of power. They're doing the work themselves. It's as though they want themselves out of power. So for opposition politicians, the work is done for you basically.
Yeah.
You just need to say. Your job is just to go up and say, thank you. That's it.
1, 2, 3, out you go.
A job the government is doing.
Well, I'm happy that is your view. Anything else you want to share with us? We like to mix things up some mornings. We just call somebody.
Sure, I wasn't even expecting you to call me. I haven't even gathered my thoughts.
Good. Mind you, folks,
on your behalf,
when Odessa calls me, you have to have a 3 hour to spare.
Sharon.
You gotta get 3 hours to spare.
No, but Cheryl, I want to thank the government before you speak to anybody else. I want to thank the government for doing such a horrible job because you were able to get content on a daily basis. The program is able to keep rolling.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's so much content I realize that you can't even talk about everything in one show. So now you have to do 2 and 3 shows because of the magnitude of screw-ups that we have in power.
What did I miss? I have Chanel on. Chanel Smith Daniels has answered my call too. I don't know if you may or may not know Chanel. You may or may not know her. She's
Good
very
morning,
classy.
valid and credible viewers. Good morning, Odessa Primus. And before we start this conversation, I would just like the public to know that the deceased are dying.
Yes.
President.
All right.
Yes.
The deceased are dying.
So we need to be very careful.
We're not doing well, Sharon. The deceased are dying. God help us all. The deceased are dying.
Yes.
When the deceased have died, there's no coming back. You see, when you die, you still got a resurrection that could happen. But when the deceased have died, you see?
well, Sharon, if I'm to understand the president well, he was referencing the rates of accidents on the road. So people are not just dying on the road; they're dead. If the deceased are dying, that is double death. They're dead.
Yeah.
Like Odessa said to me last night. Odessa said.
Odessa called you last night?
Very creative and embarrassing this nation.
Odessa called you last night. She didn't call me.
Up with something to embarrass us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Effortlessly. The president is embarrassing us effortlessly. You know, I would not like to know, Sherrod, that this man was actually trying to embarrass us, but I'd like to give him his props. He doesn't need effort. It's his natural disposition to embarrass us as a people.
No, but you got to understand so that is what when you go to Iceland University, that is one of what the things that you come out with. You understand?
Right. Right. So you're not a graduate. You graduate.
Correct. I like how you're bringing clear clarity.
You see, you're using up all the president words there, girl.
Yes.
You follow the president. That's it.
Yeah.
Clear clarity.
Clear clarity.
Correct is right. All right. So Folks, we came out this morning. We got Odessa and Chanel on the line with us. Guys, anything you want to leave with us before we press end to the call?
No, it's just so we just come on and get caught. I get excited.
Odessa, I know I love having a your end and say this.
I don't know. That will be the work of the PPP.
Look, as I have your attention, we were going into this topic. What do you guys make of drone guy Nathan Prince trying to get some with his relatives in Antigua, and then all of a sudden he can't travel? I mean, what is that about?
Well, I think the Guyana Police Force attempted to bring, as Chanel alluded to, the president's clarity to the situation. Based on their social media platform post, that he has an obligation based on engagements with him and the government and whatever was offered to him, that he has to serve for a particular period. To the best of my knowledge, he was working with Sheriff Security. Yeah. So unless Sheriff is considered to be a government agency, what has happened there is that the Guyana Police Force has confused us further, rather than bring some degree of clarity to the situation. So I am very, unaware of how any of this is making any sense. But my thing is, what is sheriff? And what arm of the government do they fit into? Because I was unaware that it was a government agency. I mean, is Daily News a government agency too? We have questions. And more questions after they seek to clarify the situation. We more confused than before. We were better off speculating, actually.
I hear you there.
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I find it very convenient. Very, very convenient that yesterday after he attempted to travel, and I find it, because I know persons who are related to the government because of their public service.
Chanel, we aren't hearing you clearly.
And they were able to leave, so I find it very convenient that this happened to that guy yesterday.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. I mean, they did say that he went to several other countries before. I really want to know what he does for the government, because they said he's well traveled. He went to Colombia, he went to Miami, he went a lot of places. And he's always sought permission, but this one time he was going to Antigua and he did not. So they said they grounded him. It's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. Interesting to say the least. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, let's hope that he seeks permission as they're saying is required, and let's see how that goes, if permission would be granted or not, which I highly doubt. And let's see how that goes, because I believe that there is more in the matter, but these guys always try to make it seem as though they're not vindictive and victimizing people and all these sorts of things, but the evidence proves differently. I am hoping that good sense prevail. In fact, not really. I like that the government is doing a bunch of nonsense. I don't want good sense to prevail. Scratch that. I want them to help us to get them out of power. This is what you call unity. And perhaps the one Guyana that the government is talking about is the fact that they have come together with the opposition to put themselves out of power.
Correct. Self-destructing.
Excellent. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sherrod.
Thank you, Sherrod. Do have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm sure content will be creating itself at 2 o'clock when the Vice President has his press conference, because he seemed to be creating a lot of content, anti-government content. So I want to thank the Vice President for that. I appreciate his lives on Thursday's press conference. And I also appreciate the fact that, his presumably busy schedule allows him to sit down and have coffee and so on with the other guy who is not a news reporter, to come up with questions to ask him foolishness so that he can foolishly respond to the foolishness. These are the little things that we have to appreciate.
Makes life
you understand me?
Makes life
Right.
worthwhile.
I am beginning to think the president is not the only person who went to IFLOT University, because the vice president has been outdoing his level of foolishness.
Yeah.
So, these are things that we don't want it to go unnoticed. I don't want the vice president to feel that we're not seeing the stupidness he's doing and saying. We see it. We appreciate the entertainment very much, and we appreciate the fact that you are showing us daily why we should vote the government out of power. We appreciate that very much.
Exactly.
I'm a very, very
I would also like to let the viewers know that we must not forget the call for reparative justice.
or whatever the president said.
Rapper. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank
right.
you.
And Shara, don't try to cut me off. I got one more thing to say about the reparative justice.
Go ahead.
I noticed just the other day at the UN we had representations for the people of African descent by people of East Indian descent and Amerindian descent representing us, and that has basically fed into what the president was asking for, because with representation from other races, we should get reparative justice, if nothing else. So I want to say thanks again for that. So I understand why we're in this situation, because we are unable as a people to identify each other's race. So I don't even understand why racism is so prevalent when we don't know who people of African descent are. But thank you very much for having me this morning, Sherrod. I appreciate it. You and your viewers do have a wonderful rest of the day. And may we see the reparative justice for our people of African descent who are actually black.
Sherrod, I'm begging you to not let Odessa coming out again on your program.
Correct.
Came out on this program.
Correct. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good. Bye-bye. There you have it, dear ladies. we love to mix things up a little bit. But serious matters, some very, very serious matters. In this first instance of the drone operator, Mr. Nathan Prince, the government, I can't remember reading in the statement how he was bounded, or how he's bounded to the government. Is he a student? Is he an employee? What is it? In Odessa voice, what is it? We don't know. And couldn't somebody in the hierarchy said, look, this thing will look bad if we tell this boy he can't go. Let's let him go. Go with the business. He's always come back. He go and cool down and this thing blow over. We looking thin. But not them. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dessa. And then we got the issue too that they refer to. What's been going on before the UN? And this decade of people of African descent, right, they've had the forum for an update on what different countries are doing for their people. And we can find some people who we have confidences. I'm surprised with everything that James suddenly know, Uncle James, he suddenly know. They aren't sending him. I'm surprised they still got that vacancy for CEO at housing and they overlooking him. Well, he's only for selling newspaper and so on in New Amsterdam and reshare things on social media. James is a bright fella by all accounts. I think I saw him recently on Freddie. Right? He's a bright chap. He went to President's College. Of course, he bright. But where are the voices? For Afro-Guyanese, that looks like us. That looks like we. Where are those voices? One of the things one of the headlines I saw, the Attorney General saying that they're telling us, the Attorney General, right? Afro-Guyanese better off than ever before. Right? That's like me saying, Nandalal is happy. Nandalal is happy. He got to talk for himself. He got to tell us what is his state of mind, his state of being. If he's happy that a man who is half his ilk is at the top and he fighting for relevance where he is, he got to tell us that. By the same token, You have to let Afro-Guyanese tell you of their lived experience. And I ain't talking about one or two. Who you promise if you talk a certain way, we won't pursue these criminal matters against you or these civil matters against you. You see? Let Afro-Guyanese speak for themselves. And I find they're getting very overbearing in this regard. And that is why they can send the Subans of this world and the Ali Hacks of this world to speak for Afro-Guyanese voices, because like we gone right back to Roger Luncheon days when you couldn't find an Afro-Guyanese to fill a diplomatic posting. Like we right back there. We don't even have the voices apparently who could comprehend our very state. And it's sad in that regard. It's very sad in that regard. I mean, you couldn't even send Todd. You couldn't even send Kwame. You couldn't even send Onich. Well, you know the pickle she's in. So there's this. And then again, trying to speak for us. APNU AFC, this is headlines attributed to the Attorney General. Apologies. APNU AFC uplifted low Afro-Guyanese between 2015 and 2020. Folks, this is such a patent lie, untruth, dishonesty. Why would you believe that you are so desperate as a political party that you gotta peddle this? APNU AFC uplifted no Afro-Guyanese. If I were Nandalal and his ilks, I'd stay away from that. What would it serve me to say the PAP uplifted no Indo-Guyanese? I mean, it's just false. It is just false. So we just went in the government apparently for 3 years, 4, 5, and sit down and just watching the clock, the time rolling by. Right. Who was the raise the salary every year for? Who was it for? The better health care. All we didn't benefit? Maternal deaths went down. Neonatal deaths went down. Cost of living. We didn't have oil money, but we the seen we way. Inflation 0.9 in 2020 when PPP took over. What is it now? What is food inflation now? We might not have had it all. You see, crimes were being solved. You had road accidents like we had it now. Schools were built. The infrastructure for health was improved. Security. You think Venezuela will mechanize and pass us the way they mechanize and pass us now? So it's a dishonesty, and I don't know why they have to be so depraved to go to these levels to see. First, you didn't do nothing for nobody. Right? And now you come to the community and say they didn't do anything for Afro-Guyanese. This is madness. And if a political entity gonna stoop to this level, when we can grow up in this politics, you tell me our kids, Chanel's kids, and Odessa's kids, my kids, we gotta come and fight this nonsense. When this politics is gonna grow up? People are asking for honesty, but only when they're telling you, what is allegedly honest. What is allegedly honest? It's mind-boggling. I told you a moment ago, I saw Bond on a program with Freddie, and the other turncoat, Chinaman has said, Afro-Guyanese got nothing. But look at his case in point. He was awarded a PhD scholarship. Chinaman. Craig, who's right for the Chronicle, man. He was granted a PhD scholarship. Went to China. You know, getting the benefits of that. Maintained his salary at the Ministry of what it was then, Public Security. And he can join Freddie and analysts. So no, the Afro-Guyanese weren't uplifted. Perhaps they weren't uplifted to the heights you were uplifted to. It's a dishonesty. Right? You want to see a period where Afro-Guyanese were not uplifted? Freddie Kissoon wrote a paper in 2010, that wasn't so long ago, about ideological racism in this country and who perpetuates it. I wish every Guyanese could read that. 2010 wasn't 50 years ago. In the poet's words, it was a moment of long ago. 2010, ideological racism, examining how systematically Afro-Guyanese have been marginalized, ostracized in this country through a deliberate policy by the PPP. And to think that a man like James could sit on a program, right, and say everything nice with Afro-Guyanese, you don't solve the kind of structural inequalities that Freddie spoke about in that paper in 4 years. You can't. You can't solve it in 4 years. You just can't. I see they said we're not getting into any big projects. And you flip the page, they said in election year, we're not getting into any big projects. They just have not 5 billion contracts in Region 6. Look across and see who walks away with the hog of it, whether it's Region 6 or Region 10. And you'll tell me if we've solved those kinds of structural problems. There's a level of dishonesty in this country that is unmatched. It's only truth when they're telling it. And it's only truth. And we got problems, folks, on all sides. On all sides. But we got to call wickedness what it is. We got to call wickedness what it is. You see, for some people, 2020 and the rigging or attempted rigging, these allegations, they like to peddle that. Right? But don't let me talk when dude not. The swearing Janet was part of that process and votes are still counting. Don't let's talk about that. Or when Janet fling the court order over her shoulder. Don't let's talk about that. No. Or when the one seat, was it 2010? Was being given to the PPP fraudulently to give them a majority in the National Assembly. No, don't let's talk about that. But let's look across the aisle and see what the other man doing. You see, these are the inconvenient truths. You know, this is our body politic, and we got to own up to it. When ID card sharing out on the East Coast, no, that's not rigging. Yeah? When people name the call in, that's not rigging, that's something else. That's being helpful, perhaps. That is being helpful. So they have come out now to say, Afro-Guyanese, these sets shouldn't talk with Afro-Guyanese. They do nothing for them. You see, they never help the old people. I see somebody mention the cycling oil, the Linden seat for the Alliance for Change that they stole. Them thing is not rigging. They have other names. It was a little mistake. It was a little setback. It was a little snafu. You see? He only want to read the history that you write. And there's a wickedness in that. Right? And I've seen too much of Nandalals and Irfan Ali's trying to tell us about Afro-Guyanese history in this country. And that's wrong. Because if we listen to Irfan, we would believe from him that Africans came here for betterment. That the African slaves came here for betterment, if we listen to him. Let the historians do their work. You're barely struggling to do your own work, and you're, in our own eyes, trying to rewrite our own lived experience in this country. You see? So if James got things he got to get out of court matters or what have you, you know, if he find the only way to get up and to succeed in business, he got to tie up with them. Do that, man. You do that. You get reward already. But the rest now, let us talk about our own experience in this country. Let us talk about it. Give us a break. So they're trying to stifle our voice. You can send a hack. You can send some Balihu Bar yesterday, some Ali. What's the fella name? He suddenly got an organization. And you think that's not wrong? You can handle the truth from the bona fide organizations. You're going to get your own organization now. You got your own APAD. You got your own media entity to counter the Guyana Press Association. Everything people got, you got something. You create similar to give this impression as though their voices over here don't matter. Look, the real people here. Some bogus, fraudulent thing you set up. Quick. That's wicked, man. That's wickedness. That's wickedness. And people see through that. People see through that. I remember Dude Not Sing. I remember that Rebel sang, "Rig not, why you rig the election?" Oh, some of us too young for that. We forget. Rig not. Out of what context was he singing that? Remember when he was in charge of the commission? He left being chairman of GCOM and he was appointed Attorney General in the PPP government. And he was officiating impartially over a whole electoral cycle, a whole electoral system. And after the election, he got appointed as Minister of Legal Affairs, Attorney General. We remember that. We don't remember it? Ali Haq had a predecessor named Wanajil. You all forget that? You all forget the advent of Wanajil? He started through the Ethnic Relations Commission. And he was in bed with them. And he was to articulate independently for Afro voices or voices of whomever. And then he ended up in bed with them. So forgive us if we don't trust the system. Forgive us. We've seen too much. That's our lived experience. That has been our lived experience. You see? And small wonder you can't get anything out of them. So the president there said, don't be surprised if you see Claudette holding some other position with them after her GCOM life. Or Mr. Ali Haq. We already know where they are. So I don't know why we're fooling ourselves. You see? You see, they clothe themselves in what seems to be a system of governance to cloak what lies underneath. I want to recommend a book to you all, How Democracies Die. Right? All of them going through the motions. Going through. Look, Trump in the USA. You know, being one no Supreme Court say to bring back the fella. What's the Supreme Court? We saw in that very parliamentary secretary's case when the Chief Justice ruled a certain way. And they said, we got time with that. They ain't got a seat in the National Assembly. They can bring a chair for them. Defiant of the courts. But they look across the aisle and say, look at them using the courts, wasting the courts' time with these frivolous matters. And they want to ignore the court at will. This is our lived experience. Let us talk about it. Let us try to rationalize where we are, how far we've come. How far we've come. And you know, we got some people like me, we right down the middle. And there's plenty of us in this country. Who of us got any, could say, you know, strictly, this is where we are. I'm totally African or totally East Indian. All of us mix up in this country. So this whole race talk is very, very bewildering to me. You know, we should have gone farther ahead now and have a different kind of conversation. I hear them trying, but they're ill-equipped to do it in a very tap way, as we say in the vernacular, trying to talk about AI. You got some fools on social media, some clowns on their side. You know, oh, the opposition using AI, and then they're proffering AI is the future of this country. So I don't know, like the left hand or the right hand doing. You know, it's like saying we used to shout across to our neighbor, but they got something named a telephone now. Oh, they're using telephone and they're using that's how they get on. The telephone is AI. Right? You still want to go to the van and shout down the street. AI is here and we got to adapt to it. When none the touch cast way that these boys want to do it. You know, you listen to them and they make no sense. But you gotta listen, because how you gonna know they're making sense? I don't just want to dismiss them outright. You see? But when you drill down, you realize what is it? When you drill down, folks, you see these guys here? As Odessa said, you got so much of content on a daily basis. So much of it to deal with. So you're watching that. We talked about Trump and the courts. Trump and the courts got a U.S. senator in El Salvador trying to get to see the gentleman who they don't want to release. And the El Salvadoran government says, we're not you ain't gonna see him. Right? You think again, you think you're gonna see him, but you know you're not gonna see him. You think you're gonna see him, but no, it's not happening. Not on their watch, he says. This is U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen, who said yesterday that authorities in El Salvador denied him access to Kilmar Abrigo Garcia. The U.S. Supreme Court, the whole court, says he should be brought back. The whole court. And then men said, what's the Supreme Court? What is the Supreme Court? And now the senator being denied access. Yes, this is the world we live in. And you give these boys another term. This is them, you know. You give them another, if they got a 1-seat majority, and they operate so big and powerful. We got a dictatorship and a police state right now. You could imagine, God forbid they ever get like a 5-seat, 10-seat majority. Could you imagine that? They got a 1-seat majority. And they are hell-bent on stifling opposition's voices. Hell-bent on that. Could you imagine? Should they get a little edge? Where we are? we'd be in a bad way. I'll tell you that. We'd be in a bad way. You know? But the soup drinkers, things like that don't bother. They come to fight you. Afro-Guyanese, so speaking on Afro-Guyanese issues. If Afro-Guyanese want to speak on the issues, so be it. Whoever they be. Craig, James, speak. But don't tell other Afro-Guyanese they have no right to speak. That's wrong. That's wrong. You all remember Schumann? Some of you might have forgotten him. Y'all remember? Y'all remember Schumann? Schumann ran out. He got on to keep now. Big fancy job at civil aviation. He's an advisor. Earning about $1 million a month in benefits. And then, as you know, he was deputy speaker. You know, not a cushy placement. He just ran out. GCOM has made so many missteps. I don't know another country on earth that would trust the current office holders at GCOM, especially the chairwoman and the chief elections officer, with officiating any election. I don't know any country that would allow that, but not Schumann. Not the soup drinkers. You see, he come out now. Party totally disintegrated. He's a one-man show. Party totally obliterated. I know a few indigenous brothers and sisters who repose some confidence in him and give him their vote last election. They must be so disappointed. What an absolute waste. There have been so many indigenous issues. If you got issues that are specific to indigenous people, silence from liberty and justice. Silence. Absolute silence. Busy making money. Busy with the brown bag. Was he supposed to start an airline? Whatever happened to that? Busy. Repeating PPP talking points. Turn up in his PPP shirt, I think, or in red. If not at the last Babu John engagement, the one before that. Busy party, totally obliterated. He ran out now. He ran out. He came in out. Oh yeah, by your works you're gonna know them. By your works you're gonna know them. If he is not a Judas, we gotta apologize to Charandas. If he is not a Judas to the indigenous cause in particular, we gotta apologize to Charandas. We shall have to. We shall have to. How sang the Linden Gill? Mandy, Mary Beard, Annette Cummins, Yvette Madu. How sang there? Well, it's election season. That's why he run out. There's election season. And again, this is the set piece. Right? You see all them. Oh, Liberty and Justice has confidence. This is how they play the board. Private Sector Commission has confidence. Oh, GCCI repose confidence is just opposition. And then they get a couple of the fake organizations to join. APAD sees confidence in GCOM. Yeah. Run out conveniently. You don't hear from them no other time. You don't see them doing any work any other time. But it's election season. So you can see a multiplicity of fake organizations. A multiplicity. Promises left, right, and center. What they didn't do in a year, they won't do in a day. Promises Wild West. in Region 6, Wild West, on the Essequibo coast. Of course, they didn't expect to be so early, in the pronouncements. But some things happening locally have really upset the apple cart. Turn it upside down. Really upset it. So they're gonna come out early now. Put in the groundwork. You can see, get them another month, they're blowing. Tired, they're done looking haggard out. They're done looking haggard out. Already. So government are gonna ease the burden of Essequibo rights farmers with a new facility. Well, you heard the farmers in Region 6 recently. The cash crop farmers complaining. They're taking bread out of the mouth. I saw Zulfikar met with a whole room full of farmers. I said, these farmers get problems 5 years after. Problems in this country being solved, are we just writing down things like the cash crop farmer told us, but we're not following up on them? You got a meeting with Zulfi, big pen and paper, yeah. You feel you making sense. You don't know, this just formality. Make you feel like they're really concerned about you. Farmer said nobody ever called them. Problem remains unresolved. Unresolved. And that's why there's a particularly interesting letter in today's press. I think it is penned by G.H.K. Lal. Makes some interesting points. We've been pressing the Commissioner of Information for information. It's madness. You got to force the Commissioner of Information to give information. You never know, you never see, never went. What's the point? Just to maintain political allegiance, you give a non-functioning entity $40 million? This is how democracies die. You got a form of democracy, but as the good book says, rejecting the power thereof. We got a form of godliness, but you deny the power thereof. That's them. A form of democracy. But it's thinking wide and deep. It doesn't have length and breadth. No. It's thin. Could topple any day. It's thin. So the president has stepped in to say, well, he can interfere. And these people who are calling for information from the Commissioner of Information, the political. But that is the exception that G.H.K. Lal takes in this letter to the press. That's the exception. He's here for you talking nonsense. You're talking nonsense. And makes the same point. It's not political because you say it's political. All you running around out there, he makes the point. G.H.K. Lal, all you running around out there promising people the moon and the stars. That's not political, that's just government. Election season, election year. Things you see in a year, you see it in a day. I see they had a commissioning of a bus shed. That was the problem, We're too big for my boots. We just fix a bus shed and leave it there. You remember, I don't know if you all forget, but at New AFC, we didn't rehabilitate bus sheds. We give new bus sheds with lights and Wi-Fi. You all remember that? Our problem, we never had a commissioning. Them boys had a little concrete bus shed. $2 million. Austere, uneventful. Not one bulb inside. We put lights and Wi-Fi. So when you're waiting on the bus, you could serve the internet. And we didn't do nothing. We only promised the good life. We never deliver. So this bus shed with lights and Wi-Fi, that was an aberration. Apparently, them boys had a commissioning. A bus shed. Which is 3 concrete walls and a tin roof. That's it. Bosset/oven. 3 concrete walls and a tin roof. And a commissioning exercise. We're different in this country. So J.H. Kellogg makes the point. It is not political because you say it is. People shouldn't have to protest for information. In a democratic society, in a transparent society, in a good governance society, should not have to protest. And to say that you can't intervene is nonsense. It's nonsense. You see people suffering in Linden, as you claim. People hurting in Linden, you intervene, nobody didn't send to call you. You see different things in society happening. And because of the stature you have, you intervene. You have that right. You could see an office holders, not them the right to Paul Slow to show cause. In the Police Service Commission, and you couldn't write to Robinson saying show cause why you shouldn't be removed. I don't know if anybody's ever applied to the Commission of Information and actually got information. Maybe the information they got is that he don't have the information. But it often said, can do. National secret, can do. Go to housing, can do. Go to office of the president. For $40 million. Cushy jobs. Friends, family, and favorites. Friends, family, and favorites. That's how we do it. Friends, family, and favorites. Folks, let's leave it there for now. Thanks for being here with us this morning. Thanks for being here with us this morning. PNCR got a barbecue and lime coming up on Easter Monday. $2,000 a ticket. The barbecue is inclusive and there's free entry. Folks, you know. Let's ease off the politics for a day or so. Go there with your family. It's Sophia, the headquarters for the People's National Congress Reform. $2,000 a ticket. Go out there, go out there, go out there. And with your kites and so on, they got big space there. Far from electrical wires and so on. Fly your kites and have a great time. Looking forward to seeing some of you guys. We're going to leave it there, folks. We're going to leave it there. We're going to be back for a final show for the week. We're taking the long weekend off. It is Thursday. Tomorrow, it's Good Friday. It's a holiday. Saturday and Sunday, we'll be thankful for the rest. And Monday, Easter Monday, we're going to raise those kites. I remember the reason for the season. I want to tell me what's the reason. I'm already persuaded in whom I believe. That's going to do it for us this morning, folks. Take good care, and we're going to see you guys on the other side. Take good care. But there's a fantastic letter in the press, too, talking about bushland. People say they don't have jobs. People are depressed. And 5 years of PPP. Suicide rates in bushland high. Such an indictment on this administration. Thoughts and prayers for the people of bushland. We're going to see you guys on the next one. Take good care, guys. Thanks for joining us this morning. In your numbers, we are very, 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 very happy with that. Mandy and Edward, Patricia Phillips and Yvette, Juliet Mickle, we see you there. Auntie Sandra, have a great day. And all the other folks, Allison and Yvette and Rena, good to have you guys on the line. Mandy and Troy, Jacqueline and Marcia, you guys have a great day. That's the time for today. Stay well, guys.
Thank you.